So we passed an education bill. It said no child left behind. A lot of them couldn't understand science, mathematics, and the laws of physics and whatnot. So we started these little programs that you weave everything together and everybody works together, and you can find out. So we started these world things, the Olympics. And it said twirling. I can't believe that's an Olympic sport. Some of it was customs and traditions to teach history and science. Twirling academy, you see? Because people sometimes their heads are spinning around, they can't quite grasp the thought. So, the G-forces, if the tail on the helicopter is not designed just right, then it's spin around out of control, you see? Alright? So then, maybe the helicopter crashed, so we're talking to the Indians with the sycamore tree, reverse rotors, land safely. Still coming down pretty fast, but well, they designed that because the desert wasn't enough humidity for that chopper to land right, so we had to come up with other ways. So you hear Trump talking about NAFTA deal. Well, if you forget about the aliens and angels that contributed to America for AAA service, then you don't have the NAFTA, you have an AFTA. How can you pronounce that? So the Hebrew people, they had words without vowels, Vowels weren't invented for a long time. So, back in history, things are a little crazy, And they say, well, maybe you should have vowels, because, all that other stuff come out of the vowels, man, and you need to straighten up. So we say vowels, So we invented vowels, and we put vowels into words so people can understand a little better. Instead of going on sounding like this, you got a North Florida Twirling Academy who says, well, what's that for? Well, you're training, You're training, See? You're twirling and training, I got so much training, man, I don't know what to do. So we make a Disney cartoons and they spin around like a magic, They got a lot of magic, man, and then they stop where it stops, no one knows. Unless you get an education, You go, man, whatever happened to those chief Indians, They kind of look around and kind of understand everything, explain stuff, so we could get better teachers and education for these people, And we say, we got a cool store down here. Everybody look at it, and sometimes they might not understand. They go, you little racist. They go, man, that's a mischievous store, man. Well, did you miss the chief? Halo, man. You play Halo? Halo, like, it's like everybody's space cadet, so we gotta do something, man. So Master Chief says, forward into dawn. Now you see trucks driving around saying, forward light, forward light, forward air, wisdom that you're talking. Forward air, halo into dawn, man. The morning's coming, man. Tomorrow's another day, but hey, check this out. They go, well, we got all that halo stuff. What are we gonna do with it? Well, we got a big musician that said, hey, you're standing with my halo, man. Okay? How about that? So he says, okay, I'll tell you what. We'll make a store and we'll call it Mischief. Why? Because media intelligence, space camp, heaven's instruction, okay? Educational force. Wow, man. It's like, man, I didn't know. And it's like, man, now they want to go down and get a little culture, get a little, fashion, and then go, man, as long as they do it with class, we got to have class, and, there's a lot of stuff out there in outer space, man. That's no joke. So he said, man, maybe we'll give them a little more education and understanding and psychology. So we're going to have to drop bombs again. I want to tell you about those bombs. You look at the sky and you wonder why you can't fly through the desert like you can everywhere else. Well, it's because they made a cage out of the entire planet. You get it? Like, what? Yeah, man. Everybody wanted to act like animals, and then the other ones didn't want to act like animals, and then everybody started arguing, acting like animals with each other. So God said, put them in a cage. So it's like the whole planet got grounded, So, some of those deserts were equally divided, you know? Like, we'll all suffer together then, you know? Because they're like, well, this is uneven. The Earth's rotation's wobbling and getting crazy, you know? Because you can't ground them and not ground them. You can't ground them, can't ground them. So the military's like, hey, they messed up. Okay, punish them all. That's what they teach them in boot camp, you know? You don't have to be so mean with the civilian families, though. You just, hey, your sister messed up. Okay? Both of you in trouble. Why? You should have been looking after your sister. Hey, your brother messed up. All of y'all are in trouble. That's what my dad used to say, man. Hey, you know, my big brother used to get in trouble. And I'd say, tell him you did it, man. You know? Tell him you did it, because if you tell him you did it, then we won't get in trouble. We can still go to the park and have fun, man. So every now and then I'll be like, yeah, okay, I did it. You know? So that's like God, man, saying, hey, we dropped these bombs, man, and messed up the whole planet, but you think we could fix it? You know? Because, you know, all those plains where there's no trees and stuff, you know, real dry radiating air, you know? And it creates a divide in the air, the downtake, you see? Like a wings telling you that, be angels, you know? Be angels, you know? The wingspan, it's like on an equalizer, you know, when I was growing up. And it sounded really good in the ears, man, with the different megahertz and stuff. Because the world had megahertz of wavelengths, you know? My dad said, hey, you get a little treble in it, and you bring the mids down for the midlands of the United States, and then you bring it back up, put a little bass in it, you know, because the east to the west, you know, you need to get some of that cooperation going on again. So the equalizers on the music, you know, like little bird wings to remind me when I woke up. So, anyhow, you know, what that does in the atmosphere is it creates turmoil, turbulence, you know. Like when you take off from airport, it's not that bad, you know. But in the desert, really hard, man. You know, because it's unstable air, you know. So with all that rolling, you know, like a flood, you know. You know, God said, hey, we had floods. We had fire and brimstone, man. So now we got the floods that you can't see. And it says, well, you know, ionosphere is left over from, you know, the war of the entire planet. So they go, the entire world messed up the planet, pretty much. They go, well, if we get everybody working together, we can fix it. Well, how are we going to convince them? Well, maybe we do a bunch of crazy science projects, and we teach the world how to be dream weavers. Because if you're dreaming about fixing the world, and you want to make it a reality, you do something really cool with the whole entire planet. And you go, remember the movie Cruel? K-R-L-L, K-R-U-L-L. You know, hey Kirk, remember unity? You know, the loving law, you know, the living law. You go, you know, law of God, the gift of diplomacy. You know, we're all angels and aliens, man. That's AAA service, man. And you get that upper atmosphere, Red Bull guy goes, they don't get it, okay? We could skydive, we could fly, we could do this, and even in the desert, man, whew, it's a rough landing, but we can do it. And I go, maybe if we design a little better stuff. Remember the Enterprise? Remember the spaceships, you know? They're still here, they're just hidden until later because we don't want people using them to destroy each other again. So I go, you know, maybe they see this Red Bull guy do a skydive, man, and he's spinning around in circles like crazy. I want you to think about high pressure system. Dipping down, you know, desert, dipping down in the desert, you know? What happens when the high pressure system comes down? It's like a bubble of a wavelength across the planet. It's a planet spinning through it, you know? You get it? So it's like the planet is riding the waves of time and space, you see? So without any kind of correction, you get hurricanes, you know? Now you take a look at Mars and you say Mars got hurricanes, Mars got these dust devils that kick up, you know? And you say, well, we never thought of it like that. You go, well, so we got big weather machines and scientists, to move the weather around, trying to keep those things out over the ocean where it don't affect people, you know. But without cooperation, it's just gonna get worse, and then we'll run out of the fuels that we need to run that machinery, you know, because it's not unlimited fuel. So renewable sources of energy takes plants and crops, because the unused crops decays and makes, you know, natural gases and stuff and things like that. But if you ain't got extra, then you go, man, we don't have enough to do that. So we make a Disney cartoon and we say, hey, the ant life, right? Here comes these grasshoppers in to get all this stuff, you know? So we say, everybody get a cricket phone, right? And instead of getting all the resources until they're gone, we get all the education until they've learned, you know? So we make a cricket phones and we say, we need you to chirp. Remember Nextel? Okay? Well, we made a game called Next Life. It's like, next life? Yeah, the next life. You know, the next, you know, the next generation. Life. You know? Hey, the boldly go. Well, no man has gone before, you know? Space, you know? We've been there already. But the no man's land, you know, they ain't gonna make it there because they blew each other up. See what I mean? So we don't want you to be no man's land. So get an education, and that's what the cricket phones are for, man. In case you guys were fishing in the dark for new ideas, well, there you go. Free consulting, huh?